is Mackenzie.
अरे एक सेकंड सेंटर तोड़ दो. Okay, हाँ जी, continue, start.
Hi, how are you doing? Hi guys, welcome back to Journey Teachers. Today we have a very special guest, Toshika Agarwal with us. Toshika, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. Would you like to give a brief introduction about you to the people watching?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Toshika. I am an ex-management consultant. I also built my own non-profit called Hoik, and currently I'm working with a Series A funded startup as chief of staff. Apart from that, I love meeting people and I do a lot of social service, so I work with Rotary International as well.
Great, glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's begin with the very first question. What exactly makes a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I think to become a successful entrepreneur, there are certain skills that you need. One is to be very proactive or be on your feet. Like at any point of time, you can meet your co-founders, team members, investors. So you need to be very proactive, which is really important even for doing sales. Apart from that, just having the determination to build something and the passion, like deciding a business idea on the something that you're really passionate about, is, I think, for me, good enough for you to be a successful entrepreneur.
Okay, so the next question is, you are also a part of Rotaract Club, as you said. So what makes you join that, and why should other students do as well?
That's actually a very good question. So Rotaract is part of Rotary International, which is a global organization that's working towards social service, right? Rotaract is the youth arm for people between the age of 18 to 30. It has four more core parts of it. One is community service, doing good for the society. Second is international service. So for instance, you are staying in Bangalore right now, you move to a different city and you want to travel there. So you can actually reach out to Rotaractors, like members of Rotaract are called Rotaractors. You can reach out to Rotaractors in their city and they'll help you, travel around the city and things like that. Third is professional development. So Rotaract is not just an NGO where you join to do a good deed, but it also helps you to build yourself professionally as a person, because it gives you a lot of leadership qualities and opportunities to do things. And finally, it's also for fun, making friends, building a network. So I feel students should really be a part of it because it helps a lot. I have been with it for 4 years now.
Okay, that's really great because it's giving you an opportunity to explore yourself and contribute your bit to the community as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So, what if one starts one's own business but doesn't have any, idea, and just a will is there to start? So, what would you advise in that case?
Well, I think if you have a will to start a business and you are looking for an idea, there are multiple ways you can look for an idea. Okay, first way to look for an idea is just look at things around you. Okay, so for instance, Ola as an example, right? We realize that not everybody has cars and they cannot drive. So there's an app called Ola, book a car and go. So that's like looking for things around you and realizing, okay, people need this. I want to provide this. That's one. Second, could be that you go on the internet and research about startups that are doing good in your country or in some other country. See the competition, and if you think you can build something better on that, you can go ahead and build that. If you do that, then also for your funding perspective, you have competitors to show straight away, also learning for you when you're building that business. And then I think finally it's more about asking people. So I know someone, when he wanted to build a business, what he did was he asked his batchmates. He called them, he said, what is the problem I can solve for you? And they eventually told him, this is the problem we are facing right now, and he built a business on it and sold it as well. So I think it's you can look for ideas through different mediums.
Okay. So you just have to, observe the problems around you, and you can build up solutions as to how to actually solve them, and that's how you can build a successful business just at the right time with the right idea.
Exactly.
Okay. So after this, even after starting a business, what do you think that what makes the business actually work?
So I think first of all, very important is your product or your service that you're providing, and in order to do that, you need to do customer validation, right? So for sometimes an idea or a problem is in our head. What I mean by that is, out of 1,000 people living in your city, only 10 need it. And if it's not a luxury item, you're not gonna get a lot of margins to build it. Not a good idea to do it. So first of all, try and look that do people really need this, what I want to provide, and what would they be willing to pay for it, right? That's called market research and customer validation. Then second very important thing is your team. Having a team, which, and initially you don't need a team of 50 people to work with you. You just need a team of 5, 3, 4 people, your core team, who works with you, who are equally passionate about what you want to do, who are working with you on a day-to-day basis. Because for instance, when I built Hoik, I was doing it with my full-time job at McKinsey, right? And one thing I always say, I couldn't have built Hoik without my team members. Like, these were people who, even if I'm doing my job 11 to 8, they were the ones who were doing the background work in the meantime, right? Getting things done. So having a team who's equally dedicated and passionate to what you want to do is really important, because then when there'll be time when you'll feel low, because there would be some setbacks. That's a part of the journey of an entrepreneur, right? Now if you have a team member who's not equally passionate, who doesn't support you, and you have to, when you have to deal with it alone, it gets difficult to build a successful business. But when you have people who are motivating you, that it's okay, we'll do it again, we'll do it the better way, then I think that's when your business will succeed. So two core things: get the right product, customer validated, and get the right team.
That's really great that building the right team is very important, and your product should actually resonate with the needs of the audience you are looking for, you are targeting. So that are the really two important main elements, and
Right.
I totally agree with you on this.
Yes.
Okay, so you are also included in the business management part of it. So what do you think management consulting, all of it is involved?
So management consulting is a very interesting domain, and I think I personally would sort of recommend everyone to try it. And the reason is, especially when you work with these big firms, right? MBB, the way we call it, McKinsey, BCG, Bain. The clients are very high level clients. So they are like Fortune 500 companies that you work with, first of all. So as a fresher for me, I got the exposure to be working with the board or the CXO, CEO, CFO of these Fortune 500 companies. That's a huge exposure for you. Second, the problems they're trying to solve are sometimes problems that you wouldn't even realize it exists. Okay, so there was basically, once we were trying to figure out who is the right CEO to hire, but the way they were figuring out, I mean, I would have never thought this could be an approach to decide who's the right CEO of my company, right? So these are very high level problems, core business related problems, and that's why I think having some time, at least working for 1 to 2 years in management consulting, is good, because you get an exposure into it. If you like the domain, it involves long working hours, but if you like it, it's also a good career, to be very honest, from multiple aspects for you. So I think that is really important, that is there. And for businesses, sometimes for business it's a very simple thing, right? I know my business so much that sometimes I need a third person to come in and look at my business, right? To give another set of another guidance, and that's why I think companies hire management consultants for them.
Okay, so what exactly management consultants, have to do? What companies look for them in them while hiring?
Skills required. Okay, so very important skill: good communication is very very important, because you're communicating with such high level people, as well as probably not even in your country, you will working with the people from across the globe. So if you're not good with communicating, it's going to be a problem. Second skill that you need to have is presentation. Being very presentable in the way you are, sort of every thought that you have in your mind, right? It needs to go out in a very structured way when you present it to someone, because the other guy doesn't have a lot of time to just sit there and listen to you for hours. You need to summarize it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and you need to make sure you're doing it. So presentation and structure, being structured, are like important skills that I think they always look for, even in a fresher when they're hiring. And finally, I think if you're a fresher, a will basically interest into the domain, and just showing them that you are good, that if they'll teach you, you will be good at the job. That's a core thing that they need.
Okay, right. So, what do you think makes a good public speaker as well? Because this is one area which you have experience in.
So I think for being a good public speaker, understanding people or understanding your surroundings is very important. So for instance, I am a person who notices things a lot, right? So whenever I go for sessions, I am not just, so I never prepare for my sessions beforehand. It's all on the ground. Like I talk about it right away, right? So what happens is, when I'm talking, I can look at expressions of people who are sitting there, and I'll realize that does this even make sense for the people I'm talking to or not? And if I figure out during my discussion that this is not relevant for them, I'll just change the track, right? Because our attention span has been decreasing day by day, especially with social media, Instagram, reels and stuff, right? So that's why holding people's attention is very important, and you can only hold someone's attention when you are talking something which is relevant for them. I cannot sit here and tell you, hey Kriti, how do you want to become an engineer? Let me guide you to become an engineer. You're not interested. You won't listen to me, right? So understanding the surroundings, and as well as making sure you're able to hold people's attention, is very important.
Okay, so as you said that you observe people on the spot, so what if their expressions aren't relevant to what you are talking, and it isn't getting resonated with your talk? So how do you shift your mindset to talk something else which will make sense to them? How does it happen just on the spot?
Yes. So I think this is a skill which comes in with time. You keep learning with it, but it definitely is. So that's why I don't prepare for what I'm talking about beforehand, because if I prepare, rectify stuff, then I'll just keep talking about it. Difficult for me to change the track, right? But because I don't prepare, so I'll see the expression, I change my content. I'll give you an example. So I went to Hansraj College Women in Business Cell for entrepreneurship, something related to entrepreneurship the event was about. So initially I had a brief structure in my mind that I want to talk more about women in business, women in entrepreneurship, because I thought the audience would be females there. But as it turns out, they opened it for everybody, and there were males sitting in the session as well. So when I went in, I realized that I cannot just talk about, go woman, you go girl kind of a thing. So that's why initially I did introduce some of the things I really wanted to, but then I also changed the track to just make it a more generalized concept on how do you become an entrepreneur, how do you build a business. So that's really very important that you have to do.
Okay, so it comes from practice, whatever, how many talks you ever give, and the presence of mind in this scenario is very important. So, as we all know that you were working in McKinsey as well, so why did you leave McKinsey?
Well, I think it's a very interesting role, interesting company to work with. But after a time, I realized I don't personally want to be a management consultant. At the same time, in the long run, I want to build something of my own. And I think it's better if you work with startups to understand how different domains of startups work and how do they go about it, so that when you want to build something, you have a pre-idea about it.
Okay, because many people think that it's a brand name, and you have to be continued working with such a big company, but that actually makes sense that if you were able to build on your own something, you have to leave from a place and explore yourself and explore different roles.
Exactly, and I think when I'm working at startups, when I talk to people, because I'll now meet a lot of founders, investors, I think this will also help me figure out the right idea that I should work on, because I don't know exactly what I want to work in. So maybe this will help me build a network, figure out an idea as well.
Definitely. So you are working as a chief of staff at Yordos as well.
Yes.
So tell us some unique attributes related to your role there.
Yes. So first of all, my role is very new. It's something which is coming up with, which is why organizers organizations are still figuring out what is chief of the staff at their company. Okay, that's part one of the role. Second part is it's a very fluid role because the founders always have limited bandwidth. So this role, if I have to put it in a phrase, is basically you are the right arm of the founders, wherein any problem statement the business has and the founders don't have the bandwidth to do it, you go and solve it. Okay, so for instance, I joined in a month back, and some problems that I'm working is introducing a new business line at Yorgos. And second is optimizing one of our current team, because I think a lot of processes there, and restructuring the whole team is also a second part of my role that I'm doing. And third, I'll be looking at the financial side of it. So if you look at it, it's like three different like domains that I'm doing, right? So that's basically the role is about doing anything and everything that is required to make the business successful.
Okay, so work as a multitasker, managing all of the team around and making their business successful.
Right.
Okay. So as you mentioned in your introduction as well, that you are the founder of Hoek as well. How did it used to work and what all Hoek did?
Yes, so Hoik was a non-profit which has a simple goal, helping students to become better entrepreneurs. So we were a one-stop solution that would provide all kinds of services a student needs if they are starting a business or already running a business. It could be from hiring team members or interns to raising funds or getting business solutions like web development, app development. Hoik ran Hoik for a year. And it's a very simple thing. You just go on the website, you fill our form. We will review your form to understand the problem you're facing. Probably me or someone else from our team will call you, have a direct chat to understand what is exactly the problem you're facing. Based on your problem, we'll suggest some of the services we can provide to you. So I think in a gist, that is what Hoik was doing. And I think if I have to talk about how I started it and how I did it, I knew this problem existed because I wanted something like this when I was in college. So I didn't have to do a market research or market validation. I just started with thinking of an interesting name for the business, looking for the logo, getting the domain name. Then I created a simple Google form that just said name, number, email ID, problem you are facing, what your business is about. I circulated it in the WhatsApp groups I was in touch with, and within first hour, can you guess the number of responses we got?
100 plus maybe.
Okay, you went too far. But we got something on 80 responses.
Okay,
within
quite many.
Yeah, and especially because I was the only one circulating, so there weren't a lot of groups I could circulate it to. So to my surprise, I wasn't expecting that many, but we did get a lot of responses, and that's when we started reaching out to people to understand the problems they are facing. At the same time, we started partnering with organizations to provide these services either free or at a discounted price to the students that they can have. And then I think finally we also started onboarding mentors and investors. So looking for mentors and investors on different social media platforms in our network, reaching out to them, talking to them. And yeah, I think that's how we kickstarted it.
Okay, so as I can really see that the first attempt of Hoek was super successful as well, as she mentioned 80 responses at once. So that's super cool, and I really hope Hoek gets functional very soon again, because it's the vision of the organization is brilliant and impacting the lives of many students.
Right.
Okay, so the next question is related to students themselves. So what would you advise to the students who are confused between whether to go for masters after graduation or have some job experience?
That's a very good question actually, and a lot of students are confused about it. I think it depends on your goal, and B, it depends on the program you want to do. So for instance, if you really want to go for an MBA in India, you don't necessarily need a work experience if you're not an engineer. If you're from the business background or humanities background, you can all directly go for your MBA, right? If you're an engineer, you want to get into the best colleges, you do need WorkX because it gets difficult for you to get there. If you want to go for MBA abroad, you definitely need WorkX because they have a minimum requirement. But if you want to go for any other master's program, right, MS, MCom or whatever you want to do, I think it's a good idea if your course doesn't require you to have a physical sort of an exposure into the industry before studying, that you go and study it right after your graduation, because then there's a loop of you continuously studying, right? Once you get into doing a job, it gets difficult to prepare for your entrance and whatever your program has, and then it again gets difficult to go back into the same cycle of giving exams, taking classes. So I think if your job doesn't really require you to work, like your program doesn't require you to work before the program, it's better to finish your education first.
Okay, so that actually makes sense because I'm in complete support of taking gap year and gaining job experience as well. But if you want to continue studying, gap can actually take you away from that because you are on that part of studying and giving exams and building your portfolio in that kind of a sense. So you can continue with that if the requirement is general.
Yes.
And if you do not want to go to have some experience and then go to abroad.
Right.
Okay, so your advice for the Gen Z to actually build a successful career of their dreams.
Okay, it's simple. Know what you want to do, and you cannot know that before doing what you want to do. So don't just rely on what I'm studying is good enough for me to know I want to do this, or just seeing a movie or whatever to decide a career for you. So use the time when you're studying, use that time to do internships in different domains, different careers, to figure out what you really like doing and passionate about. Work on it, build on it, and there is no timeline for it. I know we all say that by the time you're 23 you should have a 2-digit salary or whatever. It's not true. For every career, first of all, it changes. Second, every person has a different journey. So you will be successful if you're determined to do it and you're passionate about it. I think a very good example is McDonald's for all of us. We know when it was started, same as KFC. If you don't, go and Google it. So just believe in yourself and do something you're passionate about, not something which your family wants you to do, or maybe it's paying you well or whatever. I think passion is more important.
Definitely, passion will keep you going, and working what you really love it would actually make you enjoy doing what you want to do as well.
Right.
And considering all of those factors of money and high-paying skills, high-paying jobs, all of that comes later after passion. So focus on your passion, your interest areas, and you will succeed for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you so much, Doshika. It was a wonderful conversation with you. We got a lot of insights.
Thank you so much, Kriti, for having me here. I enjoyed having this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye. I'm used to the bye bye thing.